Hey, it's Chris, and I want to say thank you to our veterans, active duty military, and first responders for serving our great nation. All right, this week I look back at the year 1973, coming up on the Chris Carlisle Show. You're listening to the Chris Carlisle Show, hosted by me, Chris Carlisle. And welcome. Back in 1973, I was 3 going on 4. I lived in Houston with my mom and dad and my sister. My dad worked for a cleaning company, and my mother worked part-time in the child care industry. My sister was 2 going on 3. My grandparents also lived in Houston, in the Jacinto City area. My grandpa worked as a machinist for Hughes Tool. Anyway, in the news at 73, President Nixon and Vice President Agnew started their second term after winning the 1972 election. A couple of days after the inaugural, former President Lyndon Johnson passes away at his ranch in the Texas Hill Country. Went there back in the summer, and I posted a slideshow about it on my YouTube channel at Chris Carlisle's channel. Anyway, the Paris Peace Accords were signed, ending the U.S.'s involvement in the Vietnam War, and the first POWs started to come home from Vietnam. White House Chief of Staff H.R. Bob Haldeman and Advisor John Ehrlichman resigned, and White House Counsel John Dean is fired during in the midst of the Watergate affair. The Skylab, the first U.S. Space station, is launched, with the crew being launched a few days later. The Watergate hearings, they start televising the Watergate hearings. The networks rotate the coverage. Former White House counsel John Dean tells the Watergate Committee that he told the president that a cancer was growing on the presidency, and if it weren't removed, it would kill the presidency. Former White House aide Alexander Butterfield told the Watergate Committee that the president had recorded conversations about Watergate in the White House. A Delta Airlines Flight 173 crashed in Boston. 12 years of combat in Southeast Asia ended when the bombing in Cambodia is halted. Henry Kissinger, who had been the National Security Advisor, became the Secretary of State. In a case unrelated to Watergate, Vice President Spiro Agnew resigned after he was charged with tax evasion. Attorney General Elliot Richardson resigns. Deputy Attorney General William Ruckelshaus either resigns or is asked to resign by the president. And Watergate Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox is also fired in what's known as the Saturday Night Massacre. And then there were calls for the President Nixon to be impeached after the Saturday Night Massacre. Leon Jaworski is later appointed the new Watergate Special Prosecutor. And in a press conference in front of managing editors for the Associated Press, the president says his famous quote, "I'm not a crook." And there's an 18-minute gap found in the White House recording pertaining to Watergate. The Senate votes 92-3 to confirm Congressman Gerald Ford, a Republican of Michigan, to be the new vice president. And then the House also votes to confirm Ford as vice president, and then he is then sworn in as vice president before a joint meeting of Congress. Coming up, a look at sports in 1973. In sports for 1973, the champions were the Oakland A's won the World Series. In basketball, the New York Knicks won the NBA title, which would be their last one. The Indiana Pacers won the ABA title. In college basketball, the UCLA Bruins won another NCAA national championship. In football, the Miami Dolphins won Super Bowl VII in January to cap off their perfect 1972 season, and they were going to defend their title in 1973. Alabama and Notre Dame were both voted national champions, one in one poll and one in the other one. And the Ottawa Rough Riders won the Grey Cup for the Canadian Football League. In hockey, the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup, while the New England Whalers, now the Carolina Hurricanes, won the AFCO Cup in the World Hockey Association. In soccer, the Philadelphia Atoms won the NASL Championship, while Sunderland won the FA Cup in England. In boxing, George Foreman beat Joe Frazier to win the world title. In cycling, Louis Oquena won the Tour de France. In golf, Tommy Aaron won the Masters, Johnny Miller won the U.S. Open, Tom Weiskopf won the British Open, Jack Nicklaus won the PGA, and the U.S. won the Ryder Cup. In women's golf, Mary Mills won the LPGA Championship, while Susie Burning won the U.S. Women's Open. In horse racing, Secretariat won the Triple Crown. In motorsports, Richard Petty won the Daytona 500, while Gordon Johncock won the Indianapolis 500. In tennis, in the men's side, John Newcombe won the Australian Open and the U.S. Open. Elie Nastase won the French Open, and John Codis won Wimbledon. In women's tennis, Billie Jean King won Wimbledon, while Margaret Court won the Australian, French, and U.S. Opens, and Australia also won the Davis Cup. Also in tennis, Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes, which was in the Astrodome in Houston. In wrestling, the NWA World Champions were Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, and Dory Funk Jr. started the year but dropped the title to Harley Race. Vern Gagne was the AWA World Champion, while Stan Stasiak and Bruno Sammartino were the champions in the what was then the WWF, which is now WWE, and Iowa State won the NCAA Wrestling National Championship. Coming up, a look at entertainment. Okay, in entertainment in 1973, The Exorcist was the number one movie. In the Oscars, the Sting won Best Picture. Jack Lemmon won Best Actor for In Save the Tiger. Glenda Jackson won Best Actress for A Touch of Glass. John Houseman won Best Supporting Actor for The Paper Chase. Tatum O'Neal won Best Supporting Actress for Paper Moon. And George Roy Hill won Best Director for The Sting. The movies that came out the year were American Graffiti, The Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which was the last of the original films, Cahill U.S. Marshal with John Wayne, Charlotte's Web, a cartoon, The Exorcist, Jesus Christ Superstar, The Paper Chase, Paper Moon, the Disney animated version of Robin Hood, Serpico, The Three Musketeers, Tom Sawyer, Walking Tall. On television, new shows were Schoolhouse Rock, Barnaby Jones, Police Story, the soap opera The Young and the Restless, Star Trek the Animated Series, Super Friends, Tomorrow Show, Kojak, shows that went off the air were Bonanza, Mission Impossible, Laugh-In, The Doris Day Show, and The Mod Squad. The Emmy Award winners that year were The Waltons won for Best Drama Series, All in the Family won for Best Comedy, Jack Klugman won for Best Comedy Actor, Mary Tyler Moore won for Best Comedy Actress, Michael Arena won for Best Drama Actress, Ellen Corby won for Best Supporting Actress. In music and country music, the ACM Awards, the Entertainer of the Year was Roy Clark. Pages stuck together here. Okay, it was a big year for Charlie Rich, whose song "Behind Closed Doors" won Song of the Year, Single of the Year, and his album of the same name won Album of the Year, and he also won Top Male Vocalist. My mom had that on 8-track. Loretta Lynn won for Best Female Vocalist. Rush Arbor, whoever they are, won for Top Vocal Group. Dorsey Burnett won for New Male Vocalist. And Olivia Newton-John won for Top New Female Vocalist. In the CMA Awards, Roy Clark again won Entertainer of the Year. And it was another sweep for Charlie Rich and Behind Closed Doors, winning Song of the Year, Single of the Year, and Album of the Year. And he also won Vocalist of the Year. Loretta Lynn won Female Vocalist of the Year. And she and Conway Twitty won for Vocal Duo of the Year. The Stellar Brothers won for Vocal Group of the Year. Charlie McCoy was Instrumentalist of the Year. And Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass won for Instrumental Group of the Year. In the Grammys, Olivia Newton-John won Best Female Country Vocal Performance for Let Me Be There. Charlie Rich won again for Behind Closed Doors for Best Male Country Vocal Performance. Chris Christopherson and Rita Coolidge won for Best Country Performance by a duo or group for the song From the Bottle to the Bottom. Eric Weisberg and Steve Mandel won Best Country Instrumental Performance for Dueling Banjos, which was on the soundtrack for the movie Deliverance. Behind Closed Doors won for Best Country Song. And Chet Atkins and Patsy Cline were inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. And Willie Nelson had his first 4th of July picnic. The countdown show American Country Countdown, sort of a spin-off of America's Top 40, premiered. Comedian Stringbean, who was a regular on Hee Haw, and his wife were shot and killed when they interrupted a burglary after coming home. And pop music. In the Grammys, Helen Reddy won the Best Pop Vocal Performance by a Woman for I Am Woman. Harry Nilsson won Best Pop Vocal Performance for a Man by a Man for Without You. And Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack won Best Vocal Performance by a Group for Words That Love. In rock music, the Elvis's Aloha from Hawaii concert is broadcast live to 40 countries. He has a distant cousin who has one of the theaters in Branson, and he does a reenactment of that concert, and me, my sister, and her family went and saw it a couple years ago. Singer Jim Croce was killed in a plane crash. Coming up, a look at what happened around the world in 1973. Okay, this happened in other countries in 1973. The United Kingdom, the Republic of Ireland, and the Kingdom of Denmark joined the European Economic Community, which is now the European Union. Shambhu Tamang becomes the youngest person to climb Mount Everest. Henry Kissinger and Lee Duc-Tho win the Nobel Peace Prize for the Paris Peace Accords, although Mr. Lee declines his share of the award. In the UK, the Queen opens the replacement for London Bridge. Pink Floyd releases the album Dark Side of the Moon. and the Dalai Lama visits. In Australia, the Sydney Opera House opens. AC/DC performs for the first time. In Canada, work begins on the CN Tower in Toronto. Both West Germany and East Germany are admitted to the United Nations. In India, the government starts a campaign to save tigers. In Ireland, President Eamon de Valera retires. In Japan, over 100 people were killed in a fire at a department store. In Luxembourg, the Eurovision Song Contest 1973 is held. In Malaysia, the first Kentucky Fried Chicken opens in Kuala Lumpur. In New Zealand, Color TV is introduced. In Singapore, the Singapore Red Cross Society is established. And in Sweden, King Gustav VI Adolf dies and is succeeded by his son, Carl XVI Gustaf, who is the reigning king of Sweden. Coming up, a look at pop culture. Pop culture for 1973. Oreos only cost 59 cents. Family shows top the ratings in television. People love Spam and Tab. Ham, not the emails. Jennifer and Michael were popular names for babies. Terry Musin was crowned Miss America. Margia co-hosted the 700 Club with Pat Robertson years ago. Amanda Jones is crowned Miss USA. An MRI, or CAT scan, is invented. There's a nationwide toilet paper shortage after people start hoarding it after Johnny Carson tells a joke about toilet paper on The Tonight Show. Something like that would happen during the early days of the COVID lockdowns. And also the first issue of Dungeons & Dragons comes out. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Chris Carlisle Show. Don't forget to leave a like and rating and a follow on whatever platform you listen to the song. Until then, have a good one. Hi, I'm Chris, and thank you for listening to my podcast, The Chris Carlisle Show. The Chris Carlisle Show is available on Spreaker. Please leave a like and a review, and also a follow. It's also available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, Podchaser, and Podcast Addict. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.